Sky-high rents, unaffordable homes, and neighborhoods losing their charm across America, some of the most well-known cities are becoming too expensive to live in. Families are packing up, streets are emptying, and residents are wondering, how did it get this bad? Have you noticed changes in your own city? Are homes sitting empty or rents skyrocketing in your neighborhood? In this video, we're uncovering why these U.S. cities are losing residents, digging into the skyrocketing housing costs, dwindling job opportunities, and what it all means for the future of urban living. Could your city be next? Before we dive in, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Let's start in San Francisco now. San Francisco, once the crown jewel of innovation and creativity, has become a city that many are finding impossible to afford. Known for its iconic Golden Gate Bridge, bustling tech industry, and rich cultural history, San Francisco has long been a dream destination for many. But in recent years, it's become a cautionary tale about what happens when the cost of living spirals out of control. What's driving residents away? The biggest culprit? Sky-high housing costs. The median home price in San Francisco has soared past $1.2 million, and renting isn't much better. The average monthly rent for a one-bedroom apartment is over $3,000. For many families and individuals, even dual incomes aren't enough to keep up with the city's soaring housing expenses. And it's not just housing. The overall cost of living in San Francisco is 80% higher than the national average. Everyday expenses like groceries, transportation, and healthcare add even more financial strain, leaving residents with little choice but to leave the city in search of more affordable options. This exodus has led to noticeable changes. Once bustling neighborhoods are quieter, local businesses are struggling without their usual customer base, and longtime residents say the city is losing its unique character. Combine this with a growing homelessness crisis and visible income inequality, and San Francisco starts to feel like a place that's becoming harder to recognize. But is there hope? San Francisco's leaders are working to address these challenges, from proposals for affordable housing developments to expanded tenant protections. However, these efforts are often met with resistance due to zoning laws, high construction costs, and community pushback. Have you ever visited or lived in San Francisco? Could you imagine paying $3,000 a month for a one-bedroom apartment? From the West Coast to the East Coast, another iconic city is grappling with its own version of this housing crisis. Let's take a closer look at what's happening in the Big Apple. New York City, the city that never sleeps. From Broadway to Wall Street, it's a place where dreams are made, or at least it used to be. Lately, those dreams are being crushed under the weight of sky-high rents, surging costs, and a quality of life that's becoming harder to sustain for many longtime residents. What's going on in the Big Apple? Let's talk numbers. The average rent for a one-bedroom apartment in Manhattan is over $4,000 a month. Think about that for a second. That's more than most Americans pay for their mortgage. Even if you venture out into the outer boroughs, like Brooklyn or Queens, you're still looking at sky-high housing costs that make it tough for families to stay. It's not just rent. Everyday living expenses, groceries, childcare, transportation add to the financial strain. For many, it feels like the city is designed for millionaires, leaving everyone else struggling to keep their heads above water. New York's housing crisis isn't just about affordability, it's also about identity. Many longtime residents are leaving, and their departure is changing the cultural fabric of neighborhoods. That corner deli you loved? Closed. The artist community that made your block feel alive? Gone. It's not just people leaving, it's the unique spirit of New York that's fading. And don't forget the challenges that come with staying. Crowded subways, aging infrastructure, and rising crime rates are enough to make even the most devoted New Yorker think about packing up and leaving. Can the Big Apple turn things around? City leaders are trying. There are initiatives to build more affordable housing and expand rent control, but let's be real. It's a slow process, and for many, the help feels too little, too late. If you've ever dreamed of living in New York City, does the reality match the hype? For those of you who visited or live there, what's your take? Is New York worth the price tag, or would you rather take your hard-earned money somewhere else? Let us know in the comments below. From the fast-paced streets of New York, let's head to the Midwest. St. Louis might not have New York's skyscrapers, but it's facing its own unique challenges that are driving residents away. Let's take a closer look. St. Louis, Missouri, once known as the Gateway to the West, a city that symbolized opportunity and expansion. Today, though, St. Louis faces a very different narrative. Residents are leaving, and the reasons paint a stark picture of the struggles this city is grappling with. One of the biggest issues? Safety. St. Louis has one of the highest violent crime rates in the nation. And for many families, the fear of crime has simply become too much. Imagine trying to raise a family in a place where you're constantly worried about your kids walking to school or playing outside. For some, the decision to leave isn't just about preference, it's about survival. But crime isn't the only factor driving people away. St. Louis has long struggled with infrastructure issues. Roads and public services are often underfunded, leaving many areas looking and feeling neglected. And then there's the local government, which residents often criticize for mismanagement and a lack of clear, effective policies to tackle the city's problems. Add in a lackluster job market, and you've got a recipe for an exodus. The numbers don't lie. St. Louis has seen its population drop by tens of thousands in just the last decade. Streets that were once bustling are now eerily quiet, and entire neighborhoods feel like they've been left behind. But here's the thing. There's still hope. St. Louis has a rich history, a thriving arts scene, and some of the most passionate residents you'll ever meet. The city has potential, but it's going to take bold action to turn things around. What do you think? Could St. Louis make a comeback, or has it passed the point of no return? If you've been to St. Louis, or maybe even lived there, share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear your perspective. Let's keep moving. From the heart of the Midwest, we're heading south to a city that's facing a different kind of struggle. Let's talk about Birmingham, Alabama. Birmingham, Alabama, a city once known as the Magic City for its explosive growth during the steel boom. Today, that magic feels like it's fading, as Birmingham faces a slow but steady population decline. For many, the challenges of living here are becoming too hard to ignore. Let's start with infrastructure. Birmingham's roads are crumbling, public transportation is unreliable, and some neighborhoods feel like they've been stuck in a time warp. Imagine navigating your daily life while dealing with pothole-filled streets, aging utilities, and a transit system that doesn't get you where you need to go. For residents, it's more than just inconvenient. It's a sign that the city isn't keeping up with the times. Then there's the economy. Birmingham's steel industry was its lifeblood for decades. But as manufacturing jobs dried up, the city struggled to adapt. Many of those lost jobs haven't been replaced with new opportunities, leaving unemployment and underemployment as persistent issues. For families, this often means packing up and moving to places with more promising job markets. Weather is another factor. Birmingham's hot, humid summers and severe storms can make life here tough, and while some residents take pride in enduring the elements, others decide it's time to leave for a more temperate climate. The numbers tell the story. Birmingham's population has been shrinking year after year, and without major changes, it's hard to see how the city will reverse the trend. But there's still hope. Birmingham's history and community spirit remain strong, and efforts to revitalize the downtown area and attract new industries show promise. What would it take for Birmingham to regain its magic? If you've ever visited or lived here, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Is there a way forward for this once thriving city, or will it continue to struggle? From Birmingham, we're heading west to another city with big challenges but an even bigger reputation. Let's dive into what's happening in Chicago, Illinois. Chicago, one of America's most iconic cities, known for its stunning skyline, deep dish pizza, and cultural landmarks like Millennium Park, it's a city that represents the heartbeat of the Midwest. But beneath the glimmer of its urban appeal, Chicago has been grappling with challenges that are driving thousands of residents to leave. One of the most significant issues? Crime. Chicago's reputation for violence has overshadowed much of what the city has to offer. While the city has worked hard to curb violent crime, certain neighborhoods still experience high rates of gun violence, leaving families feeling unsafe. Imagine trying to build a future in a place where safety is an everyday concern. It's no wonder many are opting to move to the suburbs or out of state entirely. The cost of living is another driving factor. While Chicago is more affordable than cities like New York or San Francisco, it's still expensive compared to other parts of the Midwest. Rising property taxes, high rent prices, and increased utility costs make it harder for families to make ends meet. For many, the math just doesn't add up. Then there's the city's infrastructure. Chicago is famous for its brutal winters, but those freezing temperatures reveal the cracks in its aging roads, transit systems, and public buildings. The L train system is a vital lifeline for residents, but delays and maintenance issues often frustrate commuters. Combined with traffic congestion, it's a recipe for daily headaches. Despite these challenges, Chicago still has plenty of charm. Its world-class museums, vibrant food scene, and rich history continue to attract people from all over the world. But the question remains, can Chicago overcome its hurdles and retain its population? Have you ever been to Chicago? If so, what stood out to you? The beauty or the challenges? Let us know in the comments below. Let's head to the Pacific Northwest now, where another city known for its innovation and beauty is facing its own population struggles. Let's talk about Seattle, Washington. Seattle, a city surrounded by breathtaking natural beauty and home to global giants like Amazon and Microsoft, has long been a magnet for dreamers and tech-savvy professionals. But lately, this emerald city has been losing some of its sparkle, as housing prices and urban challenges push residents out. The housing market here is relentless. The median home price in Seattle is over $800,000, and the average rent for a one-bedroom apartment is nearly $20,500 a month. For many residents, these costs are unsustainable, especially for those not working in the city's lucrative tech industry. As the city grows, so does its affordability gap, forcing many middle-class families to move to surrounding suburbs or even out of state. Seattle has also seen a rise in homelessness, with thousands living in encampments scattered across the city. While local leaders have introduced programs to address the issue, progress has been slow, and the problem continues to weigh heavily on residents' minds. For some, it's not just the cost of living, but the visible struggles of the community that make life in Seattle feel overwhelming. Traffic congestion is another sore spot. Seattle's infrastructure hasn't kept up with its rapid growth, leaving residents stuck in gridlock during their daily commutes. And while the city's public transportation system is expanding, it's still playing catch-up with the population boom. Despite these challenges, Seattle's appeal remains strong. Its coffee culture, thriving art scene, and proximity to natural wonders like Mount Rainier and Puget Sound make it one of the most unique places to live. But will that be enough to keep people from leaving? Have you ever visited Seattle? Would the allure of the Pacific Northwest beauty be enough to offset its high costs? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Next, we're heading to the East Coast, where a historic city known for its education and innovation is facing some surprising struggles. Let's dive into Boston, Massachusetts. Boston, Massachusetts, a city steeped in history and known for its world-class universities, championship sports teams, and vibrant neighborhoods. It's the birthplace of the American Revolution and a hub for cutting-edge research and technology. But beneath its rich heritage and intellectual prestige, Boston is grappling with a growing issue. It's simply too expensive for many to call home. The housing market in Boston has become one of the most competitive in the country. The median home price has soared past $700,000, and the average rent for a one-bedroom apartment hovers around $2,700. For students, young professionals, and families alike, these numbers are staggering. Even those earning good salaries find themselves struggling to balance high housing costs with other living expenses. Traffic congestion is another pain point for Boston residents. Despite its relatively small size, the city consistently ranks among the worst in the nation for commute times. Its historic, winding streets, charming as they may be, weren't designed for modern traffic. And while the MBTA, Boston's public transit system, is an essential part of city life, frequent delays and maintenance issues leave commuters frustrated. Boston's cold, snowy winters add to the challenges, especially when paired with its aging infrastructure. Pothole-filled roads, unreliable heating in older buildings, and snow-covered sidewalks make daily life harder than it needs to be. But it's not all bad news. Boston's charm and cultural vibrancy are undeniable. Its universities fuel innovation and attract some of the brightest minds in the world, while its neighborhoods each offer a unique slice of city life, from the cobblestone streets of Beacon Hill to the vibrant energy of Jamaica Plain. Still, the question looms: how does Boston retain its character while ensuring it's a place people can actually afford to live? Efforts to build more affordable housing and improve public transportation are underway, but many wonder if it's too little, too late. Have you ever visited Boston? Would the city's history and culture outweigh its high costs? Or would you be tempted to look elsewhere? Let us know in the comments. From Boston, we're heading south to the nation's capital, where a different set of challenges is pushing residents away. Let's talk about Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C., a city synonymous with power, politics, and history. It's where laws are made, history is written, and the nation's brightest minds converge. But despite its significance, the nation's capital is facing a steady population decline, driven by rising costs and growing frustrations. The cost of living in Washington, D.C. is among the highest in the country. The median home price sits around $700,000, while average rents for a one-bedroom apartment exceed $2,400 a month. For many residents, these numbers are hard to justify, especially when paired with the city's other challenges. The affordability crisis has pushed middle and lower-income families out to neighboring suburbs in Maryland and Virginia, leaving D.C. with an increasingly polarized demographic of wealthy professionals and struggling renters. Traffic and transportation are another source of stress. While the metro system is a vital lifeline for the city, it's notorious for delays, maintenance issues, and occasional safety concerns. Add to that some of the worst traffic congestion in the nation, and it's no wonder that commuting in D.C. can feel like a daily battle. Public safety has also become a growing concern for residents. While D.C. has made strides in reducing crime over the years, certain neighborhoods still grapple with high rates of violence and property crime, further encouraging people to move elsewhere. Despite these challenges, D.C. remains a city of unparalleled cultural and historical significance. Landmarks like the National Mall, Smithsonian Museums, and the Kennedy Center continue to draw millions of visitors every year. The city's diverse neighborhoods, from the lively streets of Adams Morgan to the historic charm of Georgetown, still offer plenty of reasons to stay. But the question remains, can Washington, D.C. balance its growing costs and urban challenges while keeping its residents from fleeing? Efforts to expand affordable housing and modernize infrastructure are in progress, but the clock is ticking. Have you ever visited or lived in D.C.? Let us know in the comments below. From the bustling capital, we're heading back to the West Coast, where a tech hub is facing its own housing crisis. Let's take a closer look at San Jose, California. San Jose, California, the Silicon Valley squeeze. San Jose, the heart of Silicon Valley. It's a city synonymous with innovation, where tech giants like Apple, Google, and Cisco have transformed the region into a global hub for technology. But while San Jose's economy is booming, its residents are facing a harsh reality. The cost of living here has reached staggering levels, forcing many to pack up and leave. Housing is the biggest issue. The median home price in San Jose is over $1.5 million, making it one of the most expensive housing markets in the country. For renters, the situation isn't much better. Average monthly rents for a one-bedroom apartment hover around $3,000. Even tech workers earning six-figure salaries often find it difficult to afford a home, let alone save for the future. The pressure doesn't stop at housing. Everyday costs, from groceries to childcare to transportation, are significantly higher than the national average. For middle-class families and non-tech workers, it feels almost impossible to keep up. Many are leaving the Bay Area entirely, searching for more affordable and balanced lives elsewhere. Traffic congestion adds another layer of frustration. San Jose's sprawling layout means that many residents rely on cars to commute, but the city's infrastructure hasn't kept pace with its rapid growth. Long commutes and gridlocked highways are a daily reality, leaving many questioning whether the trade-offs are worth it. Despite these challenges, San Jose remains a vibrant city with world-class dining, cultural diversity, and proximity to some of the most beautiful landscapes in California. But the question is, who can afford to stay and enjoy it? Have you ever visited or dreamed of living in Silicon Valley? Does the prestige of being at the center of innovation make up for the sky-high costs? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Now, let's head to Texas, where a city that was once a beacon for affordable living is starting to feel the crunch. Let's talk about Austin. Austin, Texas, a city that has long been celebrated for its live music, vibrant culture, and a sense of community that's as warm as its weather. Over the past decade, Austin has been one of the fastest-growing cities in the United States, attracting new residents from all over the country with its promise of affordability, opportunity, and a laid-back lifestyle. But now, even Austin is feeling the strain of rapid growth and rising costs. The housing market in Austin has exploded. The median home price in the city has climbed to nearly $500,000, doubling in just a few years. While still lower than places like San Francisco or San Jose, these rising prices have shocked longtime residents who remember when Austin was a haven for affordable living. Rent has also spiked, with average monthly costs for apartments increasing significantly, putting pressure on both new arrivals and longtime locals. Traffic has become another major pain point. As Austin's population grows, its infrastructure has struggled to keep up. Highways like I-35 are notorious for gridlock, and the lack of comprehensive public transportation options leaves commuters stuck in their cars, wasting hours each week. Add to that the effects of gentrification. Many of Austin's unique neighborhoods are being transformed, pushing out longtime residents in favor of high-end developments. The city's quirky, artistic charm is still alive, but some say it feels like it's being overshadowed by rapid commercialization. Despite these challenges, Austin still holds on to its reputation as a city with a lot to offer. Its live music scene, tech job opportunities, and friendly culture keep drawing people in. The question is, can Austin find a balance between growth and sustainability? Or will it lose the charm that made it so attractive in the first place? If you've been to Austin, what's your take? Is it still a city worth moving to? Or is it becoming another casualty of rising costs? Let us know in the comments. From the tech-driven housing crises of San Francisco and San Jose to the affordability struggles of Austin and Seattle, it's clear that rising costs are reshaping the fabric of American cities. People are leaving not just because it's expensive, but because these places are becoming harder to live in. Whether it's due to traffic, crime, or the erosion of what made these cities special in the first place. These shifts raise important questions. What happens to a city when the middle class moves out? Can these urban centers reclaim their identity and affordability, or are they destined to become playgrounds for only the wealthy? What about you? Have you noticed changes like this in your city? Are there places you'd love to move to, or cities you've had to leave behind? Share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear your stories. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more insights into the changing landscapes of cities around the world. Until next time, keep exploring and keep dreaming.